Hello, welcome to our first essay assignment of the semester. Our first essay assignment is titled My Multimodal Memory, which is kind of my retitling of the assignment. The chapter in our text is Writing a Narrative, Here's What Happened. So, this assignment is about constructing a narrative and then trying to unpack it, make sense of it, reflect on the significance of it. And so the first part of it, the narrative, is heavily specific, concrete, full of details, trying to make it as vivid as we possibly can for the reader, allow them to experience things along with us, see things through our eyes, take a walk in our shoes, so to speak. And then, as much as the first part is very specific with the narrative, the last part, the reflection, the significance, about the last fourth of the essay, 2 or 3 paragraphs, is highly abstract. And so with this assignment, I'm kind of pushing you in 2 different directions, toward specificity in the first part of the assignment, the narrative, and toward highly abstract thought in the last part of the assignment, unpacking it, making sense of it, reflecting on the significance of it. So that last part, reflecting on significance, the abstract thought, is a point in your intellectual development that most 18 to 22-year-olds are dealing with at this point in their lives, that we're starting to see things less as black, white, yes, no, love, hate, and starting to see more of the gray areas, what I like to call the muddled middle in these things. And then this is going to be kind of the intellectual stretch in this essay, seeing how you can articulate these things that you are not tangible, that you can't reach out and touch, but that exist basically in language alone, in terms of concepts and significance. So one way of looking at this essay, a personal narrative essay is the genre that we're dealing with here, is that it is actually a persuasive essay, but unlike most persuasive essays where you have an introduction and a statement of thesis, and then you've got body paragraphs that back up the thesis statement, and within those body paragraphs you've got supporting evidence that kind of backs up the claim made in each paragraph. So you kind of have this top-down scaffolding in a traditional persuasive essay. In this essay, it's a little bit different, a little bit more subtle, even sneakier, because you offer all of the supporting evidence up front. The narrative, the concrete things, the tangible things, the details, this is basically the supporting evidence. And the narrative, readers like narrative. Narrative, we put a face on something, we tell a story, and so readers like to find out what happened. The last part of the essay, the reflection, the significance, is actually your argument in a personal narrative essay. Basically, the more vividly you can relate the narrative part, the more willing your reader is going to be to go along with you at the end of the essay with your reflection, your significance, the big so what does this all mean? So pushing you in 2 different directions. We're going to work mainly first on developing the narrative, and then we'll work on unpacking that, the reflection, the significance, the more abstract thought in this assignment. The multimodal part of this assignment is that we also are going to work primarily on the written text up until about the midpoint, the rough draft stage of this assignment. And then after that, we're going to work on making this a multimodal document. So Under the assignment here, I say write a essay about a significant event in your life and try to make sense out of it, derive meaning from it, and then format it in a multimodal fashion, such as a Prezi document, a PowerPoint document. We can also have a Word document that has images in it, what we call an illustrated essay. And so we're going to be combining text and images together, images as text, in this assignment. So let's see. I think that's basically the gist of it. I define your audience for you and give you a brainstorming exercise and some reminders, things to keep in mind for this assignment. I said here, be sure to convey to your reader why this event was significant, but try not to hit them over the head with it. One thing I want to say in terms of topic selection is it doesn't need to be the most significant event ever in your entire life. Sometimes the more mundane, run-of-the-mill things, getting a speeding ticket or something like that, can also make for a very good story. And so, don't overlook those things. Okay, and I think I say in terms of the reflection of its significance, don't make it a moral tacked on to the end of the story. A lot of times people go for things that they've heard before. So don't cry over spilled milk. It's all water under the bridge. Life goes on. This sort of thing. And I want you to put it in your own words, make it original, make it interesting for the reader. So, okay. And there's more here, so I urge you to read the assignment sheet thoroughly. Format, technical considerations. Final draft should be the equivalent of 4 to 5 pages in length, depending on what mode you use to compose your document. And should be at least 3 images that help to tell your story. Another thing that I encourage you to do, hang on while I zoom back up to the top, is if you're going to do an illustrated essay in Word, that you have some type of a banner like this at the top, and I'll show you how to make that. So, okay, hang on, zooming back down to the bottom. And final note, assignment serves largely to familiarize you with the process that we'll be following in subsequent assignments. So I'm going to be talking about the writing process, and it is an involved process. It's not just get the assignment and incubate on it, think about it for a couple of weeks, and then crank out a paper the night before it's due. But we will be going through a writing process that involves invention and pre-writing, brainstorming topics, engaging in what I call a discovery draft, working toward a rough draft, maybe an intermediate draft, a final draft. And so engage with the process, because you're being graded on different, the process work as well as the final draft. And I don't want you to be intimidated by the process. That the more you can engage with the process, the easier it is. We oftentimes have what we call one draft wonders, people who want to do things the night before it's due and just do one draft and be done with it. But and a lot of times we sometimes experience writer's block because we want it to be right the first time. We're usually putting too much pressure on ourselves when we do that. We call it writer's anxiety as well. And so the hardest thing for any writer to do is just get that first draft down on paper. But that first draft, no matter how bad it is, how sloppy it is, it's only going to get better from there. And so I want to encourage you to engage in the process, become familiar with the process. You'll be hearing that word over and over again throughout the semester. So I'll be talking more about this assignment, but this is just a brief introductory lecture to familiarize you with it and start thinking about possible topics that you might explore for this first assignment. About all I've got at this point, so I'll be talking some more about this, and thanks for watching.